Hello and welcome to the Happy Little Futures podcast. As always, we're going to begin with a nice deep breath in and out. Fantastic. So this week I thought I'd speak a bit more about what I do. I've had quite a few conversations recently with people where we've been talking about sort of the question's been asked, what do you do for a living? Or I've been at a sound bath doing the stuff that I do with Be Still with Lucy, and it's been, do you do it for kids or do you do it in offices and this, that and the other? And I sort of thought maybe it was time that I sort of just readdressed my passion sort of behind what I do. Because for so long as an adult, I was meditating and doing all of that sort of stuff, and I felt that like the message that I was getting was that if you meditated 10 minutes a day, every day, you would start to benefit after a certain amount of time. And that is true. Like, we know that is true. We know that if you meditate every day for 10 minutes a day, you build a habit after 28 days. And if you continue that then for 8 weeks, then you start to change, like make new neural pathways in the brain, which will then help to support you through life. So we know that that's a fact. However, when you're an adult, and in particular when you've got children and your commute is not necessarily the same commute as you used to have. For example, I used to have 10 minutes on the train, and then I started working from home. I suddenly didn't have 10 minutes on the train, and I felt that I needed to start work at one time and finish at another time, and that if I didn't appear online at basically all moments throughout my day, it felt like I wasn't actually working and I wasn't justifying my existence within the company. And I mean, that was pre-COVID. Things might be a little bit different. I haven't worked online in the same way since COVID. I've obviously become self-employed and stuff like that. But I know that that's how I felt. And so for me at that point, it would have been a case of trying to find a routine, something that, like, in retrospect, I think I did used to do sort of like 10 minutes before I started work. I'd sit down, do 10 minutes meditation, and then I'd start work. But I used to work on the sofa, and I'd have like the TV on in the background. I wouldn't be watching it, but it just helped me to have that sort of like almost background office noise. It would just be like, come dine with me or something like that. But yeah, so I used to do that. But it was still hard. Like, I was forced to have that time to stop when I was going on the train. Back then there was very little I could really do. Like, social media wasn't quite as big. I feel like things have taken off a lot since COVID. And it sort of forced me to stop. So since then, as a parent, it has been very difficult for me to integrate a full 10 minutes meditation every single day into my day. That has been extremely hard. And it doesn't happen. I'll be quite honest with you. I don't meditate for 10 minutes solid every single day. And when I've tried to help my kids with meditation and mindfulness, at no point have I ever believed that I could make them sit for 10 minutes solid every day to meditate. Because you just can't. Like, some kids maybe could, and I've done lots of sessions with brownies and guides and stuff where actually the kids, like, once I'm in the room and stuff like that, and we're in, like, they do lie there for sort of at times half an hour, and it's quite incredible. That's kids from like age 4 through to 18 sort of that I've had, and actually the kids that were more aged 18, that end of the ages, they were the ones that struggled to stay still for longer. The younger kids did a lot better. So it can happen, but that was not in a home environment. That was not in an environment where the parents were the ones trying to get them to lie still. The parents were the ones trying to help encourage them to listen. It's a very different dynamic with parents as it is with children and teachers, as it is with coaches and children. It's a very different dynamic. And that is something that, whilst my kids have been at school, I've sort of really taken hold of, is the fact that actually I've got additional people there just to help reinforce some of the messages that we are teaching at home. For example, my youngest at the moment is a bit of a flight risk. She likes to just look you dead in the eye and run off. And then you're left with two children doing one thing that you're trying to get the attention of whilst you run after the other child. And it's not always possible, especially as I fell down the stairs the other day and I can't run very well. So we've had to go right back to basics with her. And I've sort of said to her teachers the other day at nursery, I said, look, please can you help just reinforce this message a little bit, because actually it's dangerous for the whole family, not just for her. So it's helpful to have that. I've gone off in a direction. I'll try and rein myself back in. So my point was, it's not always possible to find that 10 minutes, especially when there's kids, especially when, even if you try to do it first thing in the morning, you don't know if a child's going to wake up. If you try to do it last thing at night, you don't know if a child's going to wake up. Like, it's so unpredictable. And so we need to find other ways around it, basically, is what I've had to learn to do. And that's what I'm passionate about, is helping you as a family, you as a teacher, you as a parent, and your children in turn to benefit from mindfulness and meditation in ways that might not have actually occurred to you, because the message is, more often than not, you have to be sitting still, you have to be silent, and it has to be for a prolonged amount of time. So when I talk about meditating, when I'm coaching meditation, I do it quite differently. So before I continue, I just want to thank extremely, very, very much, because I've had a special package from her today. I just want to thank Rowan Fox for sponsoring this podcast. Rowan Fox is a designer and creator of wildlife-inspired sustainable clothing, and if you head to rowanfox.com, you can see her selection of absolutely amazing clothes, hoodies, and all sorts of other bits and bobs that you can get. With Christmas around the corner, it really is worth having a look and investing. And as I said, if you head to Facebook and Instagram, I've been sent a special package today. I'm currently wearing my Gannett Relaxed Fit t-shirt, which is absolutely the most comfortable t-shirt I've ever had, and it's gorgeous. And I've got some beautiful hoodies for each of the kids, and even a special book and bag. So have a look at them, because honestly, they're just absolutely gorgeous. So I coach in a very different way. I don't feel that it is necessarily achievable and it is necessarily going to help your child to benefit long term if you make them sit down in silence every single day and meditate. There are a heck of a lot of benefits, don't get me wrong, but with most children, it's not really it's not their natural state. It's not the natural thing that comes to them, the natural thing that they do. And for that reason, I like to help people integrate meditation and mindfulness into their day. We're talking about bringing in little things every so often that help you and your kids to just reset in a moment, that help you and your kids just to take a minute to recompose yourself, just to reground yourself, to, like, if you're having an argument or something like that, step away and acknowledge to yourself that you need to step away, voice that you need to do something to calm down, and then help you to calm down in that moment. Something that if your thoughts in the middle of the night are racing away, you can just sort of draw upon that skill and implement it in the hope that you can start to find a bit of peace in your mind, peace in your body that will help you to sleep. And the same for the kids. And the best way I feel personally to do this is by dropping bits in throughout the day. And I don't believe that there are specific types of meditation that is appropriate for everyone. I believe that we all have different types of meditation that we are most suited to. So I've come up with my own little structure of different types of meditation, which is what I coach in my teacher training and the Helping Kids course, which will soon be coming, so that you can just do it in your own time whenever, rather than having to book onto Zoom classes. but in teacher training and stuff like that, those are the things that I help to teach the adults to be able to identify, to support their children in learning what is actually right for them, what's going to help them calm down in a moment, what's going to help them to reground themselves in a moment, and really sort of help them to support their own mental health, ultimately, sort of in life, as they go through life from this moment through to, well, very old adulthood, hopefully. And through doing this, actually, on my own journey, I've found that over time, the types of mindfulness that suits me has evolved. The types of meditation that I do changes almost daily sometimes, because it can be very adaptable to how I feel. Very adaptable to what's going on in the house, in life, where we are. We might not always be at home. Might not. Like, there's loads and loads of different factors that can feed into this. And by equipping yourself with lots of different techniques, even if you just do 30 seconds a few times a day, the more you do it, the more you integrate these little things, the more they are going to start to help support you. The more you are going to start feeling the benefits. And just like when we meditate for 10 minutes a day for 28 days, we build a habit. If you pick up the kettle and take a deep breath in, and then pour your hot water and release it as the water releases. If you do that every day for 28 days, you've built a habit of just connecting with your breath in a moment. If you pour your coffee first thing and you smell it and breathe in deep and release before your first sip of coffee every day for 28 days, you've built a habit. The more you do that first thing, the more you might find that if you make yourself a cup of tea throughout the day, you start to do that with every cup of tea or cup of coffee. The more you do it in one moment, the more likely you're going to be able to apply it to other moments. The more actually you'll be able to draw upon that one single breath without that mug of tea, without that mug of coffee, in those moments when you're in a heightened state, when you're anxious, when you just need to reconnect because things have been really busy and who am I again? And you just need to reconnect with yourself in that moment. These can provide those little bubbles of stillness throughout our day. And I think a lot of people, whether they realise it or not, feel that stillness in our mind and bodies is actually something that's missing quite a lot. From conversations that I have after my sound baths, quite a lot of people feel that actually life is just one big roller coaster at the moment. It's just from one thing to the next. And the beauty of coming to the sound baths is that it forces them to stop. Like, be still with Lucy. They come and they are still. They are just still in their mind, still in their body. Even if they've got thoughts racing through, they're taking that moment consciously for themselves. They're giving themselves permission to stop. And that in itself is something that is really important. That in itself is something that actually is a massive gift that we need to start to really acknowledge is missing in some cases, and need to start really acknowledging that we should be proud of ourselves for, in a lot of instances, fighting that discomfort of stopping, fighting that discomfort of not doing what we feel we need to do, not doing what we should be doing. Like, we will all put on a load of washing and go and sit down and do some work and all of that sort of stuff, and then leave the washing until we're able to empty it. But will we all put on a load of washing and then sit down and go, right, I'm allowed to breathe before I move on to the next thing. I'm allowed to take 10 minutes to myself before I start working. I'm allowed to just take this moment now. And the washing's not going to get done any quicker. The work that I do on my laptop or whatever is not going to get done any quicker if I don't take those 10 minutes to refresh and just reconnect and just sort my mind out first, sort my body out first, so that I'm more comfortable and more mentally ready and able to do that work. And there's a lot to be said for, I know there's been studies, I can't come up with a particular one off the top of my head, but I know that there's been studies over the past years where regular breaks have been shown to help people be more productive, where 4-day weeks have shown that people are more productive in their 4-day week rather than a 5-day week because they're not as overworked, like all of those sorts of things. And so recognizing in yourself that actually just taking that 10 seconds to take a breath to yourself, just taking that one moment in your day where you do just sit for 5 minutes and listen to the birds, sit for 2 minutes and listen to the birds, just really connect with the moment, with yourself, with your body, and don't do lots of stuff, is really important. And it's integrating those little moments into your life. It's modelling those little moments for the children around you. It's integrating those little moments into the children around you's lives that are going to make the difference for you and that are going to make the difference for them. And whilst it can be a very difficult thing for us to do as adults, it can be something that's very challenging to stop in that moment, to stop and really go, actually, this isn't easy to do. It's uncomfortable to not be flicking through social media. It's uncomfortable to not be working when I know there's stuff to do. It's those little moments that are going to make the difference. And it's those little moments that if we integrate into kids' lives now, it will be the norm for them. That will be as normal for them as using a fork to eat their food or whatever implement they use to eat their food. It will be as normal to them as it is to brush your teeth before you leave the house in the morning or brush your teeth before you go to bed. Because those little habits that we build up when they are children, those little integrated moments into their day, are what helps to form the foundations of their sort of healthy lifestyle going forwards, of their healthy well-being going forwards. And so integrating these moments now and in the future, I think, is really, really important. And that's what I'm here to do. It's not to make you sit still for 10 minutes. It's not to make your children sit still for 10 minutes. And I'm not saying that if you do some of my courses, you won't sit still for 10 minutes. I'm not saying that you won't find meditations where it's sort of just lie down for 10 minutes and just do this meditation. But those moments for you and for me can be seen as almost a treat and something that you want to do rather than something that you have to do, because the rest of the time you're building in those mini moments that help to refresh your mind, refresh your body, reconnect you, reground you, and just really help you to continue with your life from a more balanced place. So with that, I am going to love you and leave you, and I'm going to take a nice deep breath in with you and release. Fantastic. And I will speak to you soon.